unfortunately, cancel culture is alive and well, and over the past couple of years, it has become a lot easier to counter it because more and more people are becoming aware of the mobs online and all of their tactics, but unfortunately, there are still situations where it happens. Just a few weeks ago, we had the Kirsha situation where Vice was trying to cancel her, and of course, a lot of VTubers simply for existing, and now Camelot331 is facing the same problem because he has been canceled from a retro game convention for putting up content that's deemed a little bit too controversial. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I have known Camelot for quite a few years at this point. He is a fantastic individual who, yeah, is a little bit edgy, but edgy does not mean cancelable, in my and many other people's opinion. And when you are invited to a convention and to show up to an event, one would assume that the people who invited you had done their due diligence and had actually looked you up before they invited you, but that clearly wasn't the case here. And now we have this situation where Camelot has unfortunately been partially canceled. Now, of course, this just causes the Streisand effect to happen, and significantly more people are now going to be paying attention to him and his content, and of course his NASCAR career, which is good for him, but it's still not a good situation in general that there are so many people out there who want to cancel individuals they simply don't like the humor of or they disagree with politically. So he had posted this over on his X saying, "To all the people who bought tickets to come and see me at the Game and Geek Expo, I have been kicked from the event. One of the vendors and photographers from the event said that I am an NZ, so I have been canceled from the show." And Cody did end up showing the email that he got. It's pretty simple. It says, "Hi Cody, thank you again for your interest in being part of the Game and Geek Expo. We appreciate the time and effort you've put into your content and the support you've shown towards our event. After careful consideration," maybe you should have considered before you invited him, "we've made the decision to move forward without your involvement in this year's show. While we truly appreciate your recent efforts, including the removal of one of the flagged videos, additional content has since surfaced that has raised continued concerns from our community, guests, and sponsors. Unfortunately, we've already experienced a loss of a sponsor and several other guest participants due to this situation, and it is beginning to negatively affect the overall perception and inclusivity of our event. Please understand this is not a reflection on you as a creator," which is total BS, "but rather a necessary step to ensure we are maintaining a space that is welcoming, respectful, and positive for all attendees and partners. We absolutely respect your right to creative expression and free speech, but we also have a responsibility to our broader community." Now, if from the very beginning it was him reaching out and saying, "I want to be affiliated with your event," and they had said no, that would have been a totally different situation. But as far as he is saying, they reached out to him, they offered him a chance at this event, and then they decided, after caving to social pressure, to remove all affiliation with him. Of course, they can say all they want, this is not a reflection of you as a creator, but ultimately they're saying it is because they are no longer wanting to work with him because of the content creation that he doesn't share. Camelot makes a lot of edgy jokes. He has, in my opinion, a funny sense of humor. It's not going to be for everyone. And where this is a family-friendly event, if they didn't want creators like him there, they should have realized that from the get-go and kind of took that into consideration. I also feel like from the very start, they only saw NASCAR, 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 and big social following. So they invited him without, of course, looking into him. That is on them. That is their own fault. And now, of course, they're going to face any backlash, rightfully so, because of their own actions. Now, he did end up actually releasing a call with the convention owner. He exposed this recording call in a video. It will be linked down below in case, like, you want to hear the whole entire thing. But this article does sum it up. Of course, over the weekend, the Game and Geek Expo, North Carolina banned the NASCAR driver, comedian, and streamer streamer Cody Denizen, who was set to appear at the convention and greet his fans. He has a large following in the gaming and geek fan base on his Camelcast program, where he talks about pop culture issues, and he's known for having his car sponsored by Tim Pool and Timcast. I think that this is a major red flag to the people who actually wanted him gone. This was the kind of straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe they could have, of course, dealt with a little bit of his humor, some of his live streams being a little too controversial. But when you see Tim Pool and Timcast affiliated with somebody, well, that really ticks people off. He fought back after revealing his ban to the world by posting a phone call with the president of the Rally Retro Games, the organization putting on the convention. On the call, it's revealed that he would do everything he could to support the convention, and he repeatedly states he doesn't want them to lose money, but the president reveals his cowardice and nervousness through the entire call. Now, this general call, I feel, is, of course, the organizer trying to cover his own ass, which I understand. As a businessman, you need to sell tickets to your event, you need to make as much money as possible, but he would have probably made more money in the first place if he just allowed Camelot to attend. Not all press is good press, even if it's negative press. All you are proving is that you are caving into the cancel culture vultures of social media who might not like Camelot's content. Now, it is good that throughout this, like, this individual is offering compensation for all of Cody's, wasted time, but the problem is how expensive it would be. If this guy could afford giving Cody, I don't know, like $100,000, he could have afforded to keep him at the event, and sure, I don't know how much Cody would have needed, but he had to take the time out of his schedule. His race team was going to bring his NASCAR truck to the convention, meaning other people on his team would have spent their time going. He invested in merch and cards, and there's just so many moving parts that unless he was going to give him a significant portion of money, then it wouldn't have been worth Cody's while to accept that. And of course, this guy didn't want this call posted publicly. He didn't want the email posted publicly. He basically wanted it to, float under the radar. He didn't want anybody paying attention to it, which I understand, because now it's making him and also this expo look extremely scummy. It is important to point out that both states are one-party consent, so he probably had known from the beginning that this was going to be posted, and ultimately, if you're going to remove somebody from your event, what did you expect that creator to do? He wanted to post to his audience like, hey, listen, this is the situation. This is why I'm not going to be there. So Cody's audience doesn't feel like they got scammed because Cody was, lazy or just simply didn't want to go and didn't want to show up. But regardless, a lot of people are now talking about this. The Streisand effect has certainly occurred. Savvy had posted this long post, which I think is really good. This is a call recording with the president of the Game and Geek Expo. During the first 6 to 8 minutes, he tries to humble himself and appear meek. He periodically tries to appeal to Camelot and manipulate his empathy. I could lose my house, or words spoken by people who should not be in charge of anything. You, Mr. President of this group, chose that. No one else did, and no one owes you understanding for that. And sure, that would suck if he lost his house over this event failing, but maybe you should have stood by people's freedom of speech. It is acknowledged at 2 points very clearly compensation is owed. Cody was invited by the con and only so close to the event as he deemed problematic. A reason given was cosplay-related opinions, but the president appears to actually agree with Cody that when he asserts cosplayers may have higher rates of mental illness, there are high rates of depression in terminally online groups of them. This does not mean you hate them, though. He acknowledges that they will take sides. So this right here would mean that this convention owner is guilty in those cosplayers' eyes as well, so those people are still probably going to boycott this event now that this recording's online. All he's doing is making everything worse for himself, and sure, he is not like a social media star, he's not a content creator, he doesn't know how quickly things like this can spread and how furious people can become, but he clearly was not willing to stand by Camelot when the cancel culture vultures came for Camelot, so I can't really feel all that bad that ultimately now the same thing is going to happen to this individual. Sure, I don't want any convention to fail. I want every convention to be successful and for everybody to be able to go and enjoy their time, but we should have been able to go and enjoy our time with our content creator. And it's also important to point out that Camelot knows a lot of cosplayers on social media. It's not like he has said, oh, they're all degenerates and weirdos and I hate them all. Nothing that controversial. And Savvy says, so now if you have a small group of people who dislike someone else at an event, you must listen to those apparently and remove them. No one asked to remove a cosplayer for their radical takes or any other guest, and I went to people's personal profiles to see if such things exist, and they do. Mind you, I have zero issue with them and don't find them relevant to bring up, but even he knows he could go find dirt if he wanted, but Cody is a problem for a comment on cosplay? No. So now they're facing a hell of a lot more backlash. I, of course, will be keeping my eye on this over the next few days, but unfortunately for the people who actually wanted to go and meet Camelot and just enjoy their time at this retro game expo, you're not going to be able to now because they have ultimately decided, no, we have to cave into the demands of a few individuals who are mad over his existence. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.